Hello class, this is Miss Alex Hirt here with a science lesson for chapter 5.2 from the human body. Today we will be looking at what does the word immunity mean and what is the difference between natural immunity and acquired immunity. We will also touch base on some causes of different types of disease and explain how antibiotics are used to fight these diseases. The first thing we need to understand is antibodies protect the body against foreign substances, and once these are gone, the remaining antibodies stay in the body. This built-up resistance to a specific disease is called immunity. There are two different types of immunity in the body. One is called natural immunity and is the one that people are born with. For example, it is the body's natural defense against a certain disease. Acquired immunity, the other kind, is the immunity that people develop at some time during their life. Now students, I would like for you to pause the video and write down in your homework notebook what is the difference between natural and acquired immunity. Alright, next, it is important that we know the two types of acquired immunities. Active acquired immunity is the first one, and it just means that the body resists a certain disease because it has already developed antibodies against the disease. For example, developed immunity for chickenpox. I'm sure each and every one of you, or at least most of you, have had chickenpox. Because you've had it, you've probably had a vaccine which shot antibodies into your system, and now anytime that it would try to get that pathogen back inside your body would be able to recognize it and fight it off with the white blood cells that it has developed. So the other type is called passive acquired immunity. This is a kind of immunity that antibodies are not produced by the body, but they're brought in from somewhere else. This immunity does not last long because the body usually destroys them by white blood cells after a short time, because it can tell that it's not made by the body and therefore thinks that it's foreign and should be taken out of the body. Students, please pause the video and write down which acquired immunity lasts the longest and why. I want at least 2 sentences for this answer. Okay. It is important that we understand the importance and difference between the functions of a T cell and a B cell. They are both specialized white blood cells. T cells identify pathogens by detecting the signal molecules or antigens. Some T cells then attack and kill the pathogen. Other T cells call the B cell for help. And the B cell usually is what tries to beat off the pathogen. Okay? So the B cell produces substances that react with the antigen. These substances, called antibodies, cause antigens to break up or to clump together. Then they can be attacked by the white blood cell, which usually finishes off the pathogen. We will quick touch base next on what a vaccine is and what it does to the body. A vaccine is a serum made from a dead or weakened form of a bacteria or a virus. That's right. So the vaccine that people shot into you now, soon, in the past, when you were little, was an actual bacteria or virus that they were putting inside of you. Now, if you're like me right now, you're wondering, why did I ever let them do this? I'll explain it. The serum is injected into your body, and the body in return makes antibodies to protect it from this disease. So because it's only a little bit of the disease, your body is able to build antibodies that can fight against it. So later on, if the disease ever tries to get inside of you again, the pathogen, your body will recognize it right away and be able to defeat it. So some examples of these diseases that have been eradicated or have been controlled by vaccines is polio, measles, and the mumps. Alright, and I also would like to show you guys in your book on page 112, you're able to see the helper B and the helper T cells right here. So if you need a better understanding of what those are, go to page 112. Alright, next. We'll be moving to chapter 5, section 3. What are some bacterial diseases? About 150 years ago, this guy named Lewis showed that some diseases are caused by bacteria. The idea that diseases are caused by microscopic organisms or germs is called the germ theory of disease. And this is a theory that has been around for the last 150 years. So there has to be some point of importance to it that we need to remember and apply to our theories today. So in order to fight a disease, it is vital for medical professionals to know how to identify the kind of bacteria that causes the disease. So this guy named Robert Koch, we can now thank for that. He found a way to grow bacteria outside of the living body. This made it possible to study and find ways to destroy bacteria. Students, please press pause. I would like for you to look on Google search how Robert Koch, and it's Koch, found a way to grow bacteria outside of the body. I would like for you to write this answer in your homework notebook, and I would like for it to be at least 3 sentences long. Now, some examples of common bacterial diseases is strep throat, tetanus, and Lyme disease. Most diseases that are caused by bacteria are contagious. Contagious means that the bacteria can be spread from one person to another. Some different ways that diseases spread is from a person coughing on another, sneezing on someone else, by a totally other living organism. For example, Lyme disease is actually carried by ticks. Ugh. And by sharing anything that motivates the spread of germs. So that could be sharing a spoon, sharing a drink with someone that's sick. All right. If you are suffering from this, sometimes our body needs a little help to fight off the disease. Your doctor may prescribe medication or give you an injection. If you are suffering from a disease caused by bacteria, you may be treated with an antibiotic. But it is important to remember that antibiotics only help if you have a form of a bacteria disease. So, an antibiotic is a chemical substance that kills bacteria. Students, please pause this video and write in your notebook the definition of an antibiotic. Most of you may think the use of antibiotics have been around forever, but I promise you they're actually a fairly recent discovery. In 1928, Alexander Fleming was the first person to observe the action of an antibiotic. Fleming actually discovered it on accident, which happened to a lot of scientists. So remember that later on when you're messing around in the lab. Maybe you'll discover something great. Anyways, he was growing bacteria in a dish and noticed that the bacteria did not grow in a part of the dish where mold was. 13 years later, scientists were able to develop this theory and actually separate this substance from the same kind of mold and make what we know now as penicillin. It was officially the first antibiotic ever to be used. Lastly, we will look at how antibiotics really work. It is important to understand that different antibiotics can be used to fight off certain bacteria. For example, penicillin works only against certain bacteria. Remember this. Next point, as it is one of my biggest pet peeves, and is for sure to be on your test. Penicillin does not work against viruses because bacteria is not the same as a virus. There are huge differences, and we will go over those in the next class period. But for now, just know, every time that you misuse the word bacteria for a virus, a cute little kitten dies. Every time. So anyways, as you can guess, the overuse of antibiotics has become a problem for the medical world. One problem is that antibiotics kill useful bacteria that's used in your body, along with the bacteria causing the illness. Another problem with overusing antibiotics is that bacteria can become resistant to the antibiotic, which means it will no longer work against the bacteria. This resistance can become a huge problem for people who need it for a much more serious illness. For your final question, I would like for you guys to answer, why do you think, after learning all of this information, it would be important to take all of the antibiotic that the doctor gives you? By this I mean, Why is it important to take an entire prescription that a doctor gives you and not just the amount that makes you feel better? Okay. This is a critical thinking question, so think hard about possible answers and write at least 3 or more sentences on why you believe your answer is correct. So once again, the question is, why do you think after learning all of this information, it would be important to take all of the antibiotic that the doctor gives you and not just stop when you start to feel better? Okay, lastly, for your homework, I have posted a quick 5-minute quiz over the material covered in this video. Oh, I'd also like to show you guys this. This is one of the dishes that they showed when they were talking about the penicillin that they found, the mold that it started to be, and how they saw that the bacteria started to form away from it. So they knew that this could fight the bacteria. Okay? And that's found in your textbooks on page 115. All right. So just a reminder that I used the quiz that you guys are about to take as a way to see who actually watched the video for the day. So do yourself or your friend a favor and tell them to watch the video so they can take the quiz and get a good grade. Also, make sure to bring the notebook paper that you wrote down your answers on the questions for today's videos, because they will be corrected as well tomorrow. So have a good night, and I hope when you're trying to sleep tonight, you can think about how a vaccine is really a doctor or a nurse poking you with a weakened virus or a bacteria. Sleep tight, and I will see you all tomorrow.